everybody, welcome back to Bearded Shenanigans. In this episode, I'll be making a rabbit hutch condo. We had a rabbit that we've been keeping in a pet carrier, and that will not do. So here we're making another rabbit hutch to place on top of the double that we made back in October, I think. Made some upgrades, some changes, learned a lot from the first one we made, so I'd like to share that with you. Enjoy. So with this process, I didn't do as much shiplap. I did the base, as you can see here, just because I knew it would be stronger to do so. But for the roof rafters, as you'll see later, I didn't use the same process. Still use the same method of nailing them together, punching a nail through, and then bending it over in the back. I found it was so much easier to do this outside and just allow the nail to puncture through the wood into the soil. And when you flip it over, there you go. Bob's your uncle. I ended up putting a much steeper pitch on the roof on this one, as you can see. I just need to do the same thing on the other side. I still use the same method of cutting out the shiplap joints. It's just very easy on a chop saw. And with my DeWalt saw, you can actually lower a lever, as you saw earlier in the video. It'll allow you to control the depth of the cut. So you have a fairly consistent, I wouldn't say smooth, but it's fairly consistent bottom. And there's the back. I think what I'll do is I'll attach the front first. Pre-drill it so it's split the wood. I did depend a little bit more on nails and screws in this particular build. Partially because of time. I needed to get this made. Move on to other projects. And also just, I found it was a little easier with some of the joints. I did pre-drill everything, as you can see here. But then later on you'll see with the rafters, I used nails. Alright, so that's that. We just have to cut this shorter. Be careful through. Bye. I like these new rigid batteries. They tell you when it's full. 4 bars. Gets down to 0, it'll start to die. There we go. So here you have me putting the front and back support for the rafters. A little bit different method than the last time. I ended up attaching the rafters directly to the outside on this build. And as you'll see in a moment, the center one I did end up cutting out to drop onto the front and rear supports for the rafters. So this time around,
I got a wire that is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. We found that the 1 inch by 1 inch was far too wide. So this will be better for them, for their claws. One of the things we found, you want them, obviously their turds to fall through, but their nails also need to curve and be able to go through it so that they don't grow funny and grow sideways because they're on a flat surface. So you got to find a happy medium in between. So this time we got the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, which I think is going to be a perfect solution for our issues.
So I figured out pretty quickly that cutting this wire with snips was a really dumb idea. You end up scratching up your knuckles. It's really difficult. And after cutting this piece, I realized that I could just grab my angle grinder with a nice metal cutoff wheel and zip through them, as you'll see a little later on. Here I am cutting off the ends just to try to get any sharp points off away from the rabbits. Again, a pain in the butt, metal flying all over the place. Use an angle grinder, do yourself a favor, and learn from my mistake.
There. You should like that. Oh. Ooh, guacamole?
Want to try some?
Thank you.
I was going to give Liam a sample, but I ate his.
Just kidding. Oh, good.
Thanks. I don't know, I'm doing that. The sun's not in my eyes anymore.
Thank you, sweetie. Oh, that's good. Here.
So with the last door that I made them as wide as the pallets were. This time I decided to cut them down the middle just to make the door a little bit thinner.
So, filter is known and this length of water. Comes. Put in the state. Come in. Good. I'm gonna do that. I want to pretty on this side. Number 11. Side. Right, good way. There. Give a little room top and bottom. The hinge will be attached right there and there. I'll swing down because that worked pretty well on the other side. Gotta hold. Alright. Now door. A little bit of space for it to move. That's where our second piece will go. Get something a little beefier for that. Use these.
So what I'm doing here is I'm marking the backside so I can kind of wallow out a little bit of material. Just so that it'll sit flush on the front. That has to be cut out by the chop saw just to fit around that middle rafter.
Did I do that on the right side? I did it in the front. Dag nabbit. Screw it. This can be a little difficult to put them in the back. Oh, and that's the bottom too. Dag nabbit. Oh well. Oh, might as well do on the front there. I have people launching just now. The people speak enjoy.
So the wire I'm using on the bottom is that same 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch square. And really that's just to contain any small rabbits, baby rabbits that we'll end up having. The rest of the sides I ended up covering with chicken wire. Nothing crazy about it. Now, unfortunately, as you can see here, we filmed this with a regular camera while I had the No Pro going, or Faux Pro if you will. And for some reason we couldn't find the footage. So my lovely camera lady is in her PJs. She'll kill me later for this, I'm sure. I used the same method of latching the door closed on the top as I did with the last one. That worked out really well. Basically just cut a piece of wood, rounded it slightly, drilled a hole, and set a nail in.
Oh. A little trick. If you have to cut plastic, take your circular saw blade, take it out, and put it back in backwards.
Well, thanks for joining me here on Bearded Shenanigans for another episode. We've gotten this condo completely made. I've still got yet another one to make. If you enjoy these videos, please hit subscribe. I'd love to have you join the Bearded Shenanigans family. Please hit that like button down below. It helps me as far as YouTube's algorithms to get this channel out there. Stormy's in here enjoying this hutch that we've made already. She's actually in there nesting as we speak.